करेक्ट पर्व क्या पर्व मंगलसूत्र कौन सा पढ़ना था
अभयगिरी के साथ पढ़े, उनकी भी इवनिंग चैंटिंग चले और हम साथ साथ करें।
ये जो है ये कौन सा पढ़ने पूछ रही मैं आपसे, मंगलसूत्र
125 पे।
वही तो कह रही हूँ, मुझे पता नहीं ना मैं तो
Connected to OnePlus 3G. Connected to OnePlus 3G. Connected to OnePlus 3G.
मैं चला रहे हो अभयगिरी का चला रहे
चलाओ
जैसे मर्जी आप रुक जाओ
पेज देख लेते हैं, उनकी पेज पता चल जाएगी। आवाज़ में कम रखता हूँ तो इसकी आवाज़ कम रखता हूँ ताकि आपकी आवाज़ पे आती रहेगी।
मेरी आवाज़ और उसके बाद में फ़र्क होगा तो फिर ठीक नहीं आएगा ना।
हम भी बहुत टाइमिंग कर लेंगे ना ताकि उनके साथ जैसे वो आगे बोल रहे हैं पीछे पीछे बोलते जाएंगे, उसमें क्या है।
गवा शुरू सुनाएंगे इसमें गवा 7 बजे एक बार
Soom Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddho Soakaro Yena Bhagavata Dhammo Supatipanno Yasa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Dhamayang Bhagavantang Sadhammang Sasanghang Imehi Sakare Yatarahang Aropitehi Abhipujayama Sadhuno Bande Bhagava Suchira Parini Buddhopi Achima Janatanukam Vamanasa Ime Sakare Dukatapana Karabute Patiganhatu Amhakandi Karatang Hitaya Sukhaya Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivadeni Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนัมมามิอันดามยังบุญดาสะภะคะวะโตปุปปาคณมะคะลังคะโลมะเสนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอันดามยังบุญดานุสตินยังคาโลมาเสทังโคปานาภะคะวันตังเอวังกัลยาโนกิติสาโตอาภุกโตอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิดูอานุตตโรปุริสธัมมัสสารติสัทธาเทวมนุสสานังบุญโตภะคะวะติอันดามยังบุญธาบิกิติงคาโลมะเสบุญวาระหันดาวารธาติโกนาบิยุตโตสุดาปิญญาณการุณาหิสัมมากัตตาโตโบเดสิโยสุจารตังกัมมลังวสุโรวันดามหังธรรมารนังศิรสาจินเนนังบุโดโยสาปปานีนังสารนังเขมมุตตมังอัตมานุสติทานังวันดามิตังสิเรนะหังบุดาสาหัสมิตาโสอบุโดเมสามิคิสโรบุโดดุกาสกาตาจาวิดาตาจาหิตาสเมบุดาสาหังนิยาเดมิสรีรันจีวิตังชินังวันนันโตหังจาริสามิบุดาเสวสุโบดิตังนาติเมสารนังอัญญังบุโดเมสารนังวรังเอเทนะสัจวะเจนะวะเดยังสาธุสัสสเนบุตังเมวันดมาเนนะยังพุญญังปัสสุตังอิดาสัพเพปิยันตรายาเมมาเหสุงทัสสเตจัสสะไยวจัยวเจตัสสวะบุญเทกุกมังภกตังมายายังบุญโลปฏิกันหาตุอาจยันตังกันตเรสังวริตุงวะบุญเทหันดามยังธรรมานุสตินยังคาโลมาเสสภะคะโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันทิติโกอะคาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโอปานาหิโกปัจจตังเวหิตัมโบวินโยหิติอันดามยังดัมมาบิกิติงคาโลมาเสสวาคาทาดิกุณายโยกวัสเสนะเสโยโยมากะปากะปาริยาติวิโมกะเบโกธัมโมกุโลกะปัตตนาตระดาริดาริวันดามหังธรรมหารังวรธัมมเมตังธัมโมโย สัพพปานีนังสารนังเขมมุตตมังดุติยานุสติทานังวันดามิทังสิเรนังธัมมาสาสมิตาโสธัมโมเมสามิกิสโรธัมโมดุขัสสกตาจวิดาตาจหิตาสเมธัมมาสาหังมิยาเดมิสรีรันจีวิตังชิตังวันทันโทหังจริสามิธัมมาเสวสุธัมมตังนาทิเมสารนังอัญญังธัมโมเมสารนังวรังเอเทนะสัจวาเจนะวาเตยังสาธุสาสเนธัมมังเมวันธมาเนนะยังปุญญังปัสสุตังอิดาสัพเพปิยันตรายาเมมาเหสุงทัสสเตจัสสะอาเยนะวะจายวะเจตัสสะวะธัมเมกุกมังปะกตังมายายังธัมโมปฏิกาหาตุอาจายันตังกาลันตะเลสังวาริตุงวะดัมเนอัลลมยังสังฆานุสตินยังคโลมาเสสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุจุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาญาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยะติดังจัตตาริปุริสยุกานิอัตตปุริสปุกละเอสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอาหุเนโยปาหุเนโยดากิเนโยอัญจลิการณิโยปานุตตรังบุญญาเกตังโลกัสสติอันนามยังสังฆาบิกิติงคโรมาเสสัดดัมมะโจสุปฏิปัตติคุณาภิยุตโตโยตาปิโตอริยปุกะละสังฆเสโตศีลาติธัมมปวาราสยกายจิตโตวันดามหังธรรมริยานกันังสุสุดังสังโฆโยสัพพปานีนังสารนังเขมมุตตมังทัตติยานุสติทานังวันดามิทังสิเรนังสังฆาสาสมิตาโสสังโฆเมสามิกิสโรสังโฆดุขัสสกตาจวิดาตาจหิตาสเมสังฆาสหังนิยาเดมิสรีรันจีวิตังชิตังวันนันโดหังจริสามิสังฆาโสปฏิปานตังนาติเมสารนังอัญญังสังโฆเมสารนังวรังเอเทนะสัจวาเจนะวาเตยังสาธุสาสเนสังฆังเมวันธมาเนนะยังปุญญังปัสสุตังอิดาสัพเพปิยันตรายาเมมาเหสุงตัสสะเตจัสสะอาเยนะวะจายวะเจตัสสะวะสังเฆกุกมังภคตังมายายังสังโฆปฏิญาณหาตุอาจายันตังกาลันตะเรสังวริตุวะสังเฆอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวะพุทธัง භගවන් නමෝ බාලානං පණ්ඩිතානං ච සේවනා පූජාච පූජනීයානං ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං පතිරූපදේශවාසෝච කුබ්බේච කත පුඤ්ඤතා අත්ත සම්මා පනිධිච ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං බාහු සච්ඡංච සිප්පංච විනයෝච සුසික්ඛිතෝ සුභාසිතාච යාවාචා ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං මාතාපිතෝ පට්ඨානං පුත්තදාරස්ස සංඝෝ අනාකුලාච කම්මන්තා ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං දානංච ධම්මචරියාච ඥාතකානංච සංඝෝ අනවජ්ජානි කම්මානි ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං ආරති විරති පාපා මජ්ජපානාච සංයමෝ අප්පමාදෝච ධම්මේසු ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං ගාරවෝච නිවාතෝච සන්තුට්ඨීච කතං යුතා කාලේන ධම්ම සවනං ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං khanthiච සෝවචස්සතා සමනානංච දස්සං කාලේන ධම්ම සාකච්ඡා ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං තපෝච බ්‍රහ්මචරියංච අරිය සච්ඡාන දස්සනං නිබ්බාන සච්චි කිරියාච ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං පුට්ඨස්ස ලෝක ධම්මේහි චිත්තං යස්සන කම්පති අසෝකං විරජං khemං ඒතං මංගල මුත්තමං ඒතාදිසානි කତ୍වාන සබ්බත්ථ මපරාජිතා සබ්බත් සුත්තිං ගච්ඡන්ති තං තේසං මංගල මුත්තමන්ති ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සුත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සබ්බ රෝගෝ විනස්සතු ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු
Hotu te jaye mangalang.
We will now listen to a discourse by Rampo Sumedo. The title is The Point That Includes.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Aparuta de sangamata satavara ye sodavanta vamunchantu satang. So this
आवाज तेज.
awareness, mindfulness, apperception, apprehension, the point that includes everything, or the point that excludes. And so this is a reflection I've always used. Like talk about one-pointedness, ekagata in Pali. And in terms of samatha meditation, it's a point that excludes. And in vipassana, it's a point that includes. So it's all, how a point that includes is whole, is complete. A point that excludes is refined. So, you look at the point through samatha practice, concentration practice on a point that's refined, that excludes all coarseness, harsh conditions, unpleasantness, and loud noises and all the rest. To absorb into refined point, or the point that includes, then this is like where vipassana really begins to develop, because it's the satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness, four noble truths, all of that, the anatta, the nibbana, sunyata, unconditioned, unborn, all of these, these don't come from the point that excludes. You develop maybe refined conditions. And the more you refine the conditions, it's very tranquilizing and has its beauty. You arouse have the jhana factors. Vidaka vichara piti sukha ekagata. And then ekagata in vipassana is based on samadhi, or right understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So that's the use of the point that includes, or mindfulness, sati sampajanya, awareness. I use these interchangeably, and so it's not kind of, mindfulness is this and awareness is that. As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing. This awakened state, attention, listening, openness, receptivity to totality, to the whole, or the one. So one can mean the completeness or the whole, or it can mean just one thing. that that you exclude everything else. Now notice the difference between refinement and that comes from one-pointedness on the point that excludes, and the liberation that comes through the point that includes. Because to recognize this is you have to be that. You have to be this consciousness itself that includes everything that you happen to be experiencing at this moment. Whether it's physical, internal, external, pleasure, painful, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, all the rest, it includes everything. Everything belongs. So mosquitoes, I used to think, I wish God had never created any mosquitoes. If I were God, I would never have created mosquitoes. Because I don't like them. They seem to give diseases. And you live in Thailand, they've got lots of them. You have to learn how to live with them, because monastics can't intentionally kill anything. So mosquitoes belong, and everything else, good, bad, right, wrong, heaven, hell. So in this way, by reflecting in this way, you suddenly realize you don't have to spend this time trying to control your mind or try to, get into a refined state of consciousness through controlling and through excluding, but you're welcoming this because everything belongs. So it's a different attitude. The thing I found about being refined is that I quite like it, but it also makes life more painful, because most of daily life is not that refined. So you get addicted to refinement, and then you feel, I can't. I remember going on fast and meditating and getting so refined I didn't want to eat anymore. Eating was too coarse. But eventually I had to eat again, for the needs of the body. Now in the sound of silence, or nada, it's called in Sanskrit nada, or sound. Sound of silence. Now people have various ways of trying to figure what this is. Like some people think it's your blood vessels or your nervous system. I've heard all kinds of explanations. Some of it just to dismiss it, it's just your blood vessels. As if you could hear your own blood vessels or your nervous system. This was, even if it is, it doesn't really matter what it is, because I see it strictly in a functional way. It works, as I suggest using it. It works because by recognizing this sound of silence, and you develop that connects. It isn't just the momentary awareness, momentary of this and that, and then forgetting and going on to the next. You have this sense of continuity, connectedness, and the sense of the sakyaditi drops away. Like if you really learn to trust the sound of silence by resting in it, then if there's awareness, you're fully present, but the thinking process will cease, will stop. The chattering, one thought going on to the next, it'll cease, and you're still fully attentive, fully present. You're not in a trance, you're not in a refined, absorbed state. It's quite ordinary, but it's empty. It's, the sense of me as a person. I have to start thinking again. I am experiencing the sound of silence, or is it the blood vessels in my head or the nerves in my body that I'm experiencing? Then what is it, just another condition you dismiss as anicca dukkha anatta? Easy peasy, isn't it? Just get rid of it like that. Because most people don't know what it is, and they don't, they dismiss it. So anicca dukkha anatta can be just another way of dismissing things that all conditions are anicca. It's just your blood vessels. When you die and your blood stops flowing, then it packs up. You can't hear it anymore. When you're dead, I don't know what happens. Tell the truth. But for this moment here, and now sitting here on this mat, it's by resting in this, it is peaceful. Now in Thailand, when somebody dies, the custom is to invite monks to visit the corpse, and we chant this little reflection. Anicca vada sankara ubattavaya tamino ubachitava niruchanti de sangubasamo sukho. And this translates, it's very, 2 lines, and it's just observing the way it is. All conditions are impermanent. Anicca, impermanent. Vada sankara, conditions. Ubattavaya tamino, they arise and cease, and in their cessation is peace. And that's an interesting one. This is about a body, a dead corpse, or you don't have to say dead corpse, a corpse. All corpses are dead. But in terms of the here and now, this is like in investigating the Four Noble Truths, this sense of the ego, the Sakyaditthi arising and ceasing. When we let the Sakyaditthi cease, it's dead, it dies, and it's peaceful when there's no self. Anatta is peacefulness. We'll contemplate how your ego, the sense of yourself, is always, makes you self-conscious. There's always there's so much complexity around being somebody. And, in a society, and we live in a competitive society. So, to be somebody is that sense of comparing yourself. There's always somebody better, higher or lower. Even though we pride ourselves, we don't have a class system. We don't hold the snobbishness of a class system or an aristocracy, or that. We still have, this Sakyaditthi, which, we want to feel, I want to feel I'm superior. Or then because of that, then I feel inferior when somebody is better off, better looking, more clever than I am. Somebody with a lot of power and authority, I feel, I've got to be careful because I feel, threatened by some strong, confident, powerful person who's obviously better than me. That's Sakyaditthi. Or I can, have the same, somebody I look down on, and the person is, silly person, dismiss him, is Sakyaditthi. And so the self is always this blind attachment to the conditioned self. Sakyaditthi is never peaceful. It never takes you to peace. Now you're talking about developing, like for worldly happiness, worldly success, and in Thailand, for example, they're very, they tell if you're not interested in nibbana, and you would still want to live or be reborn again, maybe you like to be reborn as a devada. That's that's a little more refined than being human. Devadas are beautiful and live for 84,000 eons, or some live for 84 million eons, and in unmitigated happiness and bliss. That sounds very pleasant, doesn't it? But anyway, who knows? I'm not saying it's true or false, but remember, 84 million eons of bliss might go by very quickly. Because you don't have any suffering. What makes our lives go drag is when we're suffering, isn't it? When we're in a state of bliss, time just almost doesn't exist. So, in the Buddhist sense, dana sila. This is a way of living in the world in a good way, for worldly happiness, for worldly success, for happy family relationships, for being able to make friends and get along with your neighbors and work fellows and so forth. To be a generous, good-hearted person that's morally dependable, who one can trust and respect. Then that also increases a sense of you respect yourself. You increase the sense of your self-worth as a person through developing good qualities. So this is to be praised, this is not to be dismissed or despised, because not everybody feels the urge to be liberated. Sometimes we like the world a lot and we just want to be reborn again. Many of us became world weary at an early age. I think what you call an old soul. I think I must have had millions of previous lives. So this one, I was born, not a new soul, but an old one born in this time. The whole aim is to, I don't want worldly happiness. I mean, if it happens, fine, but it's not what I'm going to dedicate my life to, is making myself happy. So this is my interest. Spiritual interest has always been in liberation, freedom from suffering. So in psychology, modern psychology, they talk about developing self-respect, positive sense of self, not to, because there's so much self-disparagement, tendencies to disparage or criticize yourself. And this is also quite dishonest. Like we can just make conscious all our weaknesses, faults, and dismiss our virtues. So Ajahn Chah, encouraged me when I first met him to contemplate my own goodness, my virtuousness. And actually I found that, I'd never thought of it before. It's a strange, suddenly, my virtuousness. I never thought of myself as virtuous. I always thought of myself as confused or not good enough or in the various negative perceptions. So, then you think of it as or you're going to you get inflated ego. You know, it's going to go to your head. I'm going to think I'm so wonderful and virtuous, but that isn't it. It's not Sakya Ditti. You know, I'm just trying to convince myself I'm a virtuous, wonderful guy. It's about admitting what, looking honestly at your, what you love in life. Do you love evil and torture and lying and harming others? Do you get great pleasure out of torturing other people, watching them suffer? Do you move towards all that is mean and nasty in the world, the mafia, the criminal world? You feel attracted to, and none of you would be here if that was what you were fascinated with. This is not the place to look for evil. So this is, the very thing that impels you to spend 10 days in noble silence, sitting with aching knees and so forth. That's something to respect yourself for, isn't it? Just on the level of self-respect, developing a positive sense of your self-worth is not to be discouraged. It's helpful. So this is, at least for worldly happiness, I advise this. Now but also there is bhavana, so there's dana, sila, morality, and bhavana, which is meditation, or we translate that as meditation. And bhavana actually means developing the Eightfold Path. Bhavana is about stream entry, cultivating mindfulness. And bhavana is a Pali word, but it also is used in Thai just like for meditation. We say bhavana. And monks that are meditation teachers usually have names like bhavana. And because it means one who's developing mindfulness, cultivating. So the dana, sila, bhavana, this is a Pali way of thinking. Dana, generosity. You can't take responsible for your actions and speech. At least don't be stingy. I mean, you can get a lot of happiness out of just sharing wealth and other things with others. If you're really stingy and self-centered, it's a really nasty mental state to live with, isn't it? To just always think about me and what I want and keeping it all to myself. It's like Ebenezer Scrooge. So you just end up being a miserable old grump that nobody wants to be with. But generosity is, people, oftentimes alcoholics are quite generous. So I'm not recommending that, but at least it's developing a sense of goodness in your life and ways that you can respect yourself, even if you're not ready for sila or morality. Then the sila, the 5 precepts, these are guidelines of behavior towards yourself and the world around you, the environment. So like not killing, you can put them on their most primitive position of not killing human beings. Or as you want to take more responsibility, it's about to not killing mammals, or then it goes into fish and insects and birds. I mean, you can carry it on to where, like monastics, we don't intentionally kill anything. But notice it's a guideline. It's not an imperative. Sometimes morality in the Western world is a kind of moral imperative. You have to keep the moral precepts Otherwise you'll go to hell. And if you kill him out, the bad karma will haunt you for eons of time. I mean, there's really scary things one can, intimidate you with by telling you about the punishments that await you for telling a lie. But see that this is not about frightening you into obedience and using morality as an intimidation to make you be good because you're afraid of being punished for committing sins. This is like very mature. You're taking on responsibility for how you live. It's not because you're being good and moral out of fear, but because you love to take that responsibility. And you choose to, you ask for moral precepts. I can't force you to take them. It's against the monk's vinaya to kind of tell you, take the 5 precepts. You have to ask 3 times. There's a traditional style. So that means, you're wanting to take these precepts not from the Sakyaditi level, but because of your love of your respect, self-respect that is willing to take responsibility, to develop ways of living with society, with the environment that is not divisive, damaging, insensitive. So you see this whole Buddhist sense of leading inwards or leading onwards. It keeps leading you, so it's not forcing, pushing, intimidating, compelling, driving you. So this awakened sense of learning to trust yourself more, to be able to understand yourself and to learn from life. Even when you make terrible mistakes, you can at least learn that. You don't, we usually do it wrong the first time, we learn. Trial and error, we learn through trial and error. So this human condition then is this awakened human consciousness, this consciousness within the human condition. Now the word consciousness in Pali is in the 5 khandhas, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, and when we chant the morning chanting, we Rupang anicchang, Vedana anicca, Sanya anicca, Sankhara anicca, Vijnanang anicca. So it is the body, like material body is impermanent, feelings are impermanent, memories are impermanent, emotions are impermanent, and consciousness is impermanent. So then we get confused because what I'm talking about is consciousness that's not impermanent. This confused me for years because of trying to fit my experience into these teachings. Now these teachings are not to be grasped as ends in themselves, they're guides towards awareness. Now also there's references to Vijnanang Anidasanang Anantang Sapadopabhang, consciousness, splendid, unconditioned. So recognize that this word vijnana it depends on the context it's in. In other words, in terms of consciousness through the form of the body, that's impermanent. Because when the body dies, it's no longer conscious. But then in terms of here and now, like when you are mindful, when there's mindfulness, and you're sustaining mindfulness, then you can have perspective on the rising, ceasing of your conditioned thoughts, emotions, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. So this is where, what I'm doing is reflecting and investigating these teachings, but applying them to experience. Now, my experience of consciousness is that sense consciousness is arising and ceasing, and ultimately consciousness of the body will cease at death. But consciousness through the body will cease. But not having died yet, I can't speak from experience. But speaking from experience about the death of the conditions while the body's still breathing and conscious. This is what we learn from. We don't have to kill ourselves to find out what happens when you die. You learn from just observing the arising and cessation of suffering. So in this Four Noble Truths, the second noble truth is the origin of suffering, the cause, is due to attachment to desire. Dhammadana, bhavadana, vipawadana. And then the insight is to let go of desire, not to annihilate it. So consciousness, non-attached, can receive desire. Desire arises and ceases according to condition. But our refuge is in Bhutto, or Buddha mind, or Buddha consciousness, or whatever way you want to describe it. But I'm seeing it just in terms of here and now, in terms of this very moment. This is consciousness, and then I have perspective on feeling, on emotion, on memories, sensory impingements, and that sustains itself. It's not a created consciousness based on ignorance, where the sense of yourself, sakyaditi, is coming out of ignorance, avijja, and attachment to desire. So that's why this is called an awakening to reality, to the real. Now the real world is generally, when people refer to the real world, the real world is not the real world. I mean, we monasteries, they say, you don't live in the real world. They think we live in a non-real world. That we're not facing reality, we're running away. That's how people see monastics, running away from the world. So this is the worldly mind projecting onto monasteries their own views and opinions. But in Ajahn Chah would talk a lot about conventional reality and ultimate reality. Conventional truth and ultimate truth. Samut Satya and Paramatta Satya. So Satya is truth, and then Samuti Satya is the conventional truth. So this is not a denial of the conditioned realm and the conventions we find ourselves with. It's not a put down, but we still can use these conventions. There's not awakeness doesn't preclude the conventional reality, but includes it. So our ability to use conventions is then based on wisdom rather than habit, blind habit, and being stuck in the conventional world with no way of seeing it or understanding it, merely fumbling and doing the best you can to survive in it. So conventional reality, Theravada Buddhism is conventional, American society, democracy, all these things are conventions. We have a language, so as Ajahn Sumedho, I'm still willing to answer to that name. It'd be silly for me to say, there's no Ajahn Sumedho. When you're at the customs. They're not ready for that one. So you say, yes, I'm Ajahn Sumedho, and well, this is conventional reality. It's a useful convention, language, and there's many good things about the conventional world. Beautiful things. So it's not a denial or an annihilation of convention, but it's learning how to use convention from the wisdom position rather than from the blind force of habit. Because even the best conventions are unsatisfying. This idea that if we make the perfect society, like communism, for example, where everything is equal and there's no class system at all. There's no king and everybody, there's no working class, there's no aristocracy, no nobility. Everybody is equal, getting equal pay, equal everything. And so that, on an ideal level, that's quite beautiful. That seems fair, and that seems like something worth giving your life for. To get rid of this class system where, people think they're, because they're aristocrats, and then they suppress, exploit the lower classes, the peasants, the proletariat. And then we glorify the proletariat. The working man is the hero of the age, and we've got to make sure that these effete, disgusting aristocrats, we take everything away from them, strip them of everything, and make them just like us, peasants. And this is, without wisdom, this is what happens, isn't it? It becomes a form of tyranny. So even an idealism based on a lack of wisdom becomes a tyranny, like we can see in the Soviet Union. What happened with an ideal that was forced on people, compelled through fear. The means was fear. You're going to be punished for having more than somebody else. We've got to annihilate, maybe get rid of the aristocracy. Just kill them off would be better, because there'll always be a problem in the... So you end up murdering a lot of your own people, and then as if that's going to lead towards this ideal of communism. What it leads toward is tyranny and fear. Is it because the means you're using is tyrannical? It's evil means. It's all right to kill these enemies because the end is worth it. So the end justifies the means. But in the law of karma, it's always, if you have the wrong means, then you don't get the right end. So with communism as the goal, you end up with tyranny. And, that's because you use tyrannical means, you end up with a tyrannical society, a fear-controlled, conditioned society. So this is, law of karma is a very good way of reflecting. Just in your own practice here, observe that if you spend your time feeling angry and being negative about everything, you're going using this negativity, attaching to negativity. The result is you feel depressed or negative. You're not going to get enlightened and feel happy by being attached to critical thoughts, despair, anger, aversion. If you want to be happy, then you think positively, power of positive thinking. All is love and life is wonderful and God loves me and everybody is wonderful and metta, loving kindness and sweetness and light. Only you'll feel very happy if you can keep it going. And so that's karma, isn't it? You're using positive means, you end up with a positive result. But it's still conditioned, isn't it? It's trying to sustain this sense of all is wonderful is hard work. Because sometimes life is not wonderful in sweetness and goodness and kindness and that. It can be nasty and mean and unfair and ugly. So that mindfulness allows us to receive the totality of conditioned phenomena as we're experiencing it now. So our relationship to our negativity, our despair, our aversion, is to be aware of it. It's like this. So the means that you're using is awareness, wisdom, rather than just positive thinking or by suppressing negative feelings or thoughts. So then in consciousness, in terms of here and now, this is pointing to here and now, then sound of silence, consciousness, are they the same thing? Or is the sound of silence really my blood vessels? Then I'm thinking again, isn't it? I'm getting caught in doubt. Somebody told me it's blood vessels. They said they heard it from somebody that's an authority on it. And so, or it's the nerves. And a great psychoanalyst said it's nerves, nervous system in one's ears. And so this is, then I go immediately, if I start speculating on this level, I go into doubt. But if I just use this nada sound, or this vibration, or whatever way you experience it, recognize it, I don't need to define it and figure out whether it's a physiological function or a transcendental one, or it's cosmos or tinnitus or whatever. It is like this. And then to be able to use it, you're not trying to think about it or disregard it, but you can use it. So like my advice is to recognize it and see what happens. Just by resting, to access this nada, this sound of silence, is to open to it. And if you're looking for a sound of silence, you probably miss it. But if you're just recognize, it's a state of relax. It's not finding or doing anything. We're great doers, aren't we? We're compulsive, obsessive doers. Meditation is something you've got to get and do. How many of you, work hard trying to make yourself meditate and get something from it? Because this is the conditioning process of a self. I've got to get meditation I've got to achieve and attain something out of my meditation. And sometimes teachers talk like that, you've got to get this and you've got to be mindful. And now what does that do? If I say, you have to be mindful, then you're hearing that from Sakyaditi. Ajahn Sumedho says I have to be mindful. And I have to practice so many hours a day and come on several retreats a year. And then, so I'm going to do what Ajahn Sumedho says. Now this is probably good advice, but you're picking it up from the Sakyaditi level, you see. This is, Ajahn Sumedho knows what I need. I'm an unenlightened person. I still suffer from anger and jealousies and things like this, some neuroses, all kinds of emotional fears and anxieties, and so I'm obviously not enlightened. Ajahn Sumedho, now look at him, he's so confident sitting there. And he knows, he's better than I am, and he's been at it longer, so he knows what I need. Now this is you're creating yourself and your relationship to your projections of me. So this is just the way it is. And I'm not saying it's not to do this, but if you do it, to be aware of it as it's you creating. Listen to yourself, your own way of seeing yourself. Get to know Sakyaditi and all its permutations and variations. So that which is aware of Sakyaditi is conscious, isn't it? Consciousness is still operating when there's no Sakyaditi. It doesn't cease when Sakyaditi's gone, I'm unconscious. I don't drop dead when my ego drops away or go into a trance. But I'm more alert. There's more. Mindfulness has self-sustaining. It's not just fragmented by the conditions that I'm experiencing. So one of these notes is we're taught that awareness arises and passes away with the objects that it is, like its object condition. You speak of pure awareness that is unconditioned. Can you talk about this and so forth is what I'm doing. So this is trusting yourself, because mindfulness of a condition arises and ceases, yes. And the consciousness, look at consciousness not as ceasing when the conditions cease, but the sense consciousness ceases with it, but not consciousness. So consciousness, is empty. It doesn't need an object. It's natural. And in Thai culture, they usually refer to consciousness as the citta. So, like you have teachers like Ajahn Mahabua, one of the famous Thai teachers, who talks about the eternal citta. Now, this really annoys the Sri Lankans because this is outrageous in terms of Pali Buddhism. The eternal citta is, they won't print his books in Sri Lanka because they think this is heresy. But actually he has a point, from his own experience. He's talking not so much from orthodox Theravada, but from probably his own direct insight. So in terms of my insight, also my own direct investigation of Dhamma, I can understand what Ajahn Mabu was saying. But I can also understand how it doesn't fit into the orthodox view of many Sri Lankan Buddhist scholars. Because, you've got an orthodox interpretation of Buddhism that, tends to almost become rigid. And, because that's how the intellect works. You fix it into fixed categories and definitions. And then we read this, and then we grasp these concepts and and try to fit our experience into the concepts from the Pali Canon. And so we tend to, we're struggling with our own feelings and that in trying to fit them into categories of how we interpret Pali Buddhism. Now, with Ajahn Chah, his emphasis was on Bhatibhata, on practice. So it was not Orthodox Buddhism says this, so you can't, question it. Some will say the word of the Buddha is sacred and cannot be questioned. And so it becomes another belief system. We don't dare question what the Buddha said in the Pali Canon, but he never wrote the Pali Canon, you see. So how do you know? But anyway, if you take these teachings, like Four Noble Truths, then this actually you put to the test. And always with this reflecting on here and now, remind yourself, because it's so easy to go and think of practice in order to get something in the future. And then if you practice really hard now and you don't get what you're expecting, you're disappointed, you call it bad practice. I had a terrible retreat. I had a good, wonderful retreat. I was just blissed out. I was so happy. A wonderful retreat. Then you hear people talking like this. And, I spent 10 days in hell. Terrible retreat. Well, it doesn't matter whether wonderful or terrible. This all comes from, what I like and don't like. If I get what I want, a lot of peace and bliss, and I like that. If I don't get that, then I'm miserable. That's all the self-view, Sakya Ditti. Because my personality depends on, whether I'm happy or unhappy, on the conditions. If I get what I want, I'm happy. And if I don't get what I want, I'm unhappy as a person. And I can see that. I'm aware of that. And so this is investigating this sense of the self, the ego, till you really know it backwards and forwards. So the knowing of the ego is not the ego. The consciousness that doesn't arise and cease with the condition is the eternal citta. Or if you object to that term, it is amatta dhamma, or the unconditioned. This is Orthodox Buddhism. This is, you can't refute that. But in terms of using citta and eternal, that's considered by some people heresy, or not Dhamma, or not Buddhist. And so this is various opinions form around these conventions. But the point is to make it work, so it's liberating. You can be aware when there's liberation and when there is suffering. You know the difference. So the third noble truth is realizing that what has arisen has ceased. And in that cessation, you're still conscious. When when there's anatta, nibbana, shunyata, you're not unconscious. You're completely conscious and clear. You're empty. There's empty. There's no emptiness. There's no self. There's still intelligence. You're bright. Your mind is bright and clear because you're not attaching to the conditions, to the moods. Even when unclear, confused mental states arise, you have a clarity to see them and not grasp them. So, things, being confused and muddled and feeling negativity arises, but there's a clarity around it. I know these states. There's a knowing, and a reminder not to grasp them anymore. Because you know the result. If I start just trying to get rid of muddledness or confusion, I get more confused. I know it because I've seen it, I've observed myself trying to get rid of confusion or dullness or sleepiness or doubt or worry or things like that. Just by trying to resist and get rid of that, it makes it worse. But if I trust this clarity of consciousness, of conscious awareness, then even when the conditions get muddled, there's the clarity is not muddled. The muddle arises and ceases according to the conditions that comes from. And when the conditions for confusion and muddledness are gone, then it's gone. And there's a knowing of its presence and its absence. This is discernment, or panya, wisdom. You recognize conditions as conditions. You recognize the unconditioned. So it's not, you don't find it, you recognize it. Like space, you say, oh, this is space. So like you're waking up, and I say space, and then you suddenly recognize space, yes. So it's like that, you don't find space, you just suddenly wake up and recognize it. Or the unconditioned, it's not that you don't have it, or that you can't, or that you just wake up, letting go of the condition, you recognize the unconditioned is this. So hopefully this is an encouragement for you to explore, investigate, so that we all have our own peculiar karmic conditions to work with. The way we are and think and personalities and emotional habits. There's no two people are the same. So it's not a matter of you having to be like me, but it's learning to use the way you are. The body you have, the emotional tendencies, habits that you experience, your fears and desires and so forth, your prejudices, your attachments, all these things, it's not, none of them are obstructions to enlightenment. The only obstruction is ignorance of Dhamma. So this is where the important issues, like the fire in the house, or the arrow, this story of the man gets shot by an arrow, and before they pull it out, he says, I want to know the make of this arrow, who shot it, his name and address. I want to sue him. By the time they get all that information, you're dead. So the aim is to get the arrow out. It doesn't matter who shot it or what brand of arrow it is. So this is, this emphasis I'm making is awakening to. I'm very direct now because, it's pointing to the way you see yourself. I'm an unenlightened person practicing in order to be. Now this is, when we operate from this unchallenged, unrecognized assumption, so then the samatha practices, everything, the sila, the dana, everything is done from ignorance. So, I remember trying to get jhanas years ago out of, wanting to attain, out of my ego and willfulness, wanting to be able to, I've got first jhana, and I nearly got the second one the other day, and because, my ego feeds on attainment and achievement. So, that kind of thing, I'm a sotapanna. And because so I took this course, they said it's a sotapanna, 10-day sotapanna course, so I passed it. So I'm a stream emperor. And that's not useful, that kind of thing. It's ridiculous. But this way you're actually starting out from day one, challenging what you think you are. Not denying it, but recognizing while you're here that basic thing that you may have never questioned fully or seen as an object, the sense of yourself as somebody who has to do something to get something you don't have yet, or that you've come here to get rid of bad habits, to make yourself into a better person. So this is so that this emphasis on being aware of this sakyaditi is not to deny it or reject it, but to recognize sakyaditi like this. And for me, when I did this practice, it became very clear. That's why I can be this confident about it, because I've investigated sakyaditi, and I see how it's always with attachment to thinking and views and opinion. Now when I stop thinking, that's why I like this sound of science, because the wanting to stop thinking doesn't work. And just trying to force yourself to stop thinking makes it terrible. And then getting attached to sensory deprivation, because if you just go into a sensory deprivation tank, after a while you get used to it, and there's no sense impingement on you. You can experience bliss because you're not being stimulated by anything. But do we need to live it like that? Or the Buddha is pointing to suffering, its causes, cessation, and path. So this is not about avoiding or controlling the conditions, but investigating, reflecting on them, and seeing, and trusting in this natural awareness, sati sampajanya, that we can bring to the flow of our lives, and integrate into daily life. It's not dependent on ideal conditions. So I offer this for your reflection.
संक्षेप में मैं प्रवचन की मुख्य बात बता देता हूँ। आपने बताया शुरू में कि पॉइंट डेट इंक्लूड्स का मतलब है कि दो तरह की साधना हो सकती हैं। एक जिसमें कि हम द पॉइंट विच एक्सक्लूड्स एवरीथिंग, जिसमें सिर्फ एक ही चीज़ के ऊपर ध्यान दिया जाए, और दूसरी वो जिसमें कि सब चीज़ों को अपने अवेयरनेस में लाया जाए। तो जैसे एकाग्रता की बात करते हैं, समाधि की बात करते हैं, जिसका वो समथ भावना की बात करते हैं, तो उसमें एकाग्रता लाई जाती है एक किसी बिंदु पे, किसी एक आलम्बन पे, तो चित्त शांत होता है, उसके अपने लाभ होते हैं। लेकिन वो लोकोत्तर साधना नहीं है, वो लोकीय साधना है, जिससे कि इस लोक में ही हमको प्रसन्नता और थोड़ी सटल लेवल की प्रसन्नताएं हासिल होती हैं। और जो दूसरी साधना है द पॉइंट डेट इंक्लूड्स, मतलब जिसमें हर चीज़, जो भी हमारी इंद्रियों पे चीज़ें आ रही हैं, जो भी विषयों का संपर्क हो रहा है, स्पर्श हो रहा है, उस सब को हम महसूस करें, किसी चीज़ को न छोड़ें, और अपनी समाधि उस तरह की रहे कि हम सब चीज़ों को देख भी रहे हैं, जान भी रहे हैं, और मन भटक भी नहीं रहा। तो उसी को न कहा कि वो एक और तरह की एकाग्रता है, जिसमें सारी इंद्रियां काम कर रही हैं और हम उन सब के इनपुट्स को ले पा रहे हैं। और उस तरह की साधना से ही लोकोत्तर समाधियाँ होती हैं, जिससे कि हम प्रज्ञा बढ़ा सकते हैं और मुक्ति का मार्ग प्रशस्त होता है। ये उनका एक मुख्य बात थी। और बताया कि उसी संदर्भ में कि जो पॉइंट डेट इंक्लूड्स है, उसमें नाद की बात की, अनहद नाद की, जिसे वो साउंड ऑफ साइलेंस कहते हैं, कि अगर हम उसके ऊपर ध्यान दें तो वो एक ऐसा कुशल उपाय है जिससे कि हम चित्त को समाहित भी कर सकते हैं और ओपन भी रख सकते हैं। क्योंकि आप उसको अगर ध्यान से रखेंगे तो आप सारी इंद्रियों पे आपकी काम भी करती रहेंगी और आपका चित्त समाहित भी रहता है। और उन्होंने कहा कि उसको हमको इस पचड़े में पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है कि वो साउंड ऑफ साइलेंस है क्या, वो कान में कुछ परेशानी है कि ब्रेन में कुछ नर्वस सिस्टम में, हम उसको एक कुशल उपाय की तरह इस्तेमाल करें। और भी कई बातें कहीं दानशील भावना की, और वो सब अधिकतर लोग जानते ही होंगे। जो एक मुख्य बात उन्होंने कही, जो शायद अलग है थाई ट्रेडिशन की, थाई फॉरेस्ट ट्रेडिशन की बाकी सब विधियों से, कि और जिसके ऊपर में किसी ने उनको प्रश्न भी दिया था बीच में, आपने देखा होगा लिख के, कि आप ये क्या बता रहे हैं कि कोई एक ऐसी अवेयरनेस है जो कि अनित्य नहीं है, जो नित्य है, ये तो भगवान बुद्ध की शिक्षा नहीं है, किसी ने लिख के दिया था। तो उन्होंने फिर उसको समझाया कि जो 5 खंड हैं उसमें जो विज्ञान है वो अवेयरनेस है एज इट ऑपरेट्स थ्रू द बॉडी, और वो अनित्य है जैसे भगवान कहते हैं, क्योंकि वो तो शरीर के साथ ही रहेगा और शरीर के जाने पे समाप्त हो जाता है। और कभी हम आँख से देखते हैं, कभी सुनते हैं, कभी चखते हैं, तो वो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह बदलता रहता है। लेकिन वो बताते हैं कि थाई फॉरेस्ट मास्टर्स ने, और उन्होंने खुद भी अनुभव किया है और हम सब भी अनुभव कर सकते हैं, कि एक हमारे में एक ऐसी जानने की क्षमता है जो अनित्य नहीं है, जो बनी रहती है। जैसे उदाहरण दे रहे थे कि जब वो निरोध का अनुभव करते हैं, सेसेशन का अनुभव करते हैं, या कोई निब्बान का अनुभव करता है, तो वो बेहोश नहीं हो जाता, उसमें जीवित रहता है। तो वो जो अवेयरनेस है, जिसको उन्होंने अनिर्दर्शन विज्ञान के रूप में प्रकट समझाने की कोशिश की थी, कि अनिर्दर्शन विज्ञान की बात तो हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स में आती है, लेकिन कई जो ट्रेडिशंस हैं थाई और बर्मीज ट्रेडिशन में, उस तरह की बात को स्वीकार नहीं किया जाता। और अगर आप कहें कि एक जानने की क्षमता है जो नित्य है, तो वो उसको बुद्ध की शिक्षा के अनुरूप नहीं मानते हैं। वही वो बात कह रहे थे। लेकिन हम अपने अनुभव से जान सकते हैं, जैसे वो बता रहे थे कि जब भगवान तृतीय आर्य सत्य की बात करते हैं कि दुख है, दुख की उत्पत्ति का कारण है, और जब उसको कारण का निरोध हो जाता है तो जानने की क्षमता बनी रहती है कि दुख नहीं है। इसी तरह से जब हम देखते हैं कि मान हमारा बहुत बेचैन है, तो बेचैनी है, लेकिन फिर भी हमें जानते हैं कि बेचैनी हो रही है, हमारे को कुछ सूझ नहीं रहा है। हमारे जैसे सत्यपठान में आता है कि विज्ञान का उदय हुआ और निरोध हो गया, उसको भी जानता है। तो विज्ञान का निरोध कौन जानेगा? मैं नहीं देख पा रहा हूँ, ये कौन जानेगा? वो हमारी एक जानने की बेसिक क्षमता है, जिसको कि जो रूढ़िवादी हमारा थेरावादा ऑर्थोडॉक्सी है वो एक्सेप्ट नहीं करती, अभी उसमें दिक्कत होती है। तो ये एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात की, क्योंकि ये एक बात जो थाई फॉरेस्ट ट्रेडिशन की, राइट फ्रॉम लुंगपुर मुन से लेकर लुंगपुर चा, जान सुमे, तो ये सब लोग इस बात को अपने अनुभव से बताते हैं, क्योंकि वो प्रैक्टिस के आधार पर शिक्षा देते हैं, स्क्रिप्चर के आधार पर नहीं। और उसके आधार पर कहते हैं कि उसी आधार से ही दुख मुक्ति का मार्ग प्रशस्त होता है। आप उसको एक चित्त ना समझ के अनकंडीशनड समझ लीजिए, क्योंकि वो अनकंडीशनड है, वो हमेशा उपलब्ध रहता है। उस सेंस में समझेंगे तो शायद वो ऑर्थोडॉक्सी से भी मैच करता है। तो ये मुख्य बातें थी। इस बारे में मैंने अपने संगम ग्रुप में एक पेपर भी डाला था, जिसमें अद्वैत और वेदांत थाई फॉरेस्ट ट्रेडिशन की बात थी। अगर किसी को इसमें इंटरेस्ट हो तो वो पेपर पढ़ सकते हैं, दीप्ति से ले सकते हैं और पढ़ा भेज देगी आपको। तो अब ब्रह्म विहारों का अभ्यास करते हैं। सर्वप्रथम मैत्री ब्रह्म विहार। हमारे मन प्रसन्न रहे, मित्रता सबके प्रति गुडविल बनी रहे। तो मैत्री का मतलब है मित्रता। मित्रता का मतलब है हमें वैर नहीं होता किसी से, किसी के लिए दुर्भाव नहीं होता। तो भगवान हमेशा नेगेटिव सेंस में चीज़ों को प्रकट करते थे। तो इसलिए जो मेत्ता चांट, ट्रेडिशनल मेत्ता चांट है, उसमें वो ये कहते हैं कि मुझ में किसी के प्रति मैं निर्वैर बनूं, निर्दोष बनूं, द्वेष न रहे मुझ में, चिंता न रहे और सुखपूर्वक जी सकूं। तो इस सेंस में मैत्री का भाव तो सबसे पहले अपने लिए हम करते हैं। अहं अवेरो होमि, अव्यापज्यो होमि, अनीगो होमि, सुखी अत्तानं परिहरामि। मैं अपना ख्याल रख सकूं, सुखपूर्वक अपना संरक्षण कर सकूं, द्वेष न रहे, वैर न हो, चिंता न हो। अब यही भावना अपने प्रियजनों के प्रति, माता पिता के प्रति, आचार्यों के प्रति, सगे संबंधियों के प्रति, सहधर्मचारियों के प्रति, जो हमारे साथ साधना कर रहे हैं, धर्म भाई धर्म बहन है, उन सब के प्रति। मम माता पितु आचार्या च ज्ञातिमित्ता च सब्रह्मचारिणो च अवेरा होन्तु, अव्यापज्या होन्तु, अनीगा होन्तु, सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। अब आरक्षण करने वाले देवताओं के प्रति, जो इस धरती की रक्षा करते हैं, ऐसी मान्यता है। अदृश्य प्राणी हैं जो हमारे घरों की रक्षा करते हैं, हमारे समाज की रक्षा करते हैं। कुछ उनमें से पृथ्वी पे रहते हैं, कुछ आकाश में रहते हैं, कुछ पेड़ों पे रहते हैं, ऐसी मान्यता है। और जो विज्ञजन हैं, साइकिक पावर्स वाले लोग हैं, वो उनको देख पाते हैं। तो इसलिए उनके प्रति भी मैत्री का भाव। आरक्षा देवता, भूमट्ठा देवता, रुक्षट्ठा देवता, आकाशट्ठा देवता, अवेरा होन्तु, अव्यापज्या होन्तु, अनीगा होन्तु, सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। अब सभी प्राणियों के प्रति, चाहे सूक्ष्म हो, स्थूल हो, दृश्य हो, अदृश्य हो, पूर्व दिशा में हो, पश्चिम दिशा में हो, उत्तर में हो, दक्षिण में हो, नीचे हो, ऊपर हो, धरती पे चलने वाले हों, पानी पे चलने वाले हों, आकाश में विचरण करने वाले हों, सभी प्राणियों के प्रति मैत्री भाव। सर्वे सत्ता, सर्वे पाना, सर्वे भूता, सर्वे पुद्गला, सर्वे अत्ता भाव परियापन्ना, सर्वा इत्थयो, सर्वे पुरुषा, सर्वे अरिया, सर्वे अनरिया, सर्वे देवा, सर्वे मनुष्या, सर्वे विनिपातिका। अवेरा होन्तु अव्यापज्या होन्तु अनीगा होन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। हम करुणा मैत्री करुणा ब्रह्म विहार का अभ्यास करते हैं। इस समय की जो विश्व की स्थिति है, हमारे देश की, हमारे शहर की, बहुत विकराल रूप से रोग फैल रहा है भारतवर्ष में भी, दिल्ली में भी और सारे देश में। तो उनको केवल याद करने की आवश्यकता है। विश्व भर में लाखों लोग बीमारी से आहत हैं, करोड़ों लोग घरों में बंद हैं, उस कारण से दुखी हैं। तो उन सबको याद करके उनके प्रति करुणा का भाव जागता है। करुणा वास्तव में कुछ एक्शन में प्रकट होनी चाहिए, लेकिन हम सभी बंधन में बंधे हैं। तो जो भी कर सकें किसी के लिए करें। शुभकामना तो अवश्य कर सकते हैं, तो ऐसे सबके लिए शुभकामनाएं करें कि लोग कष्ट से मुक्ति हो, रोग से मुक्ति हो। रोग मुक्ति में जो बाधाएं आ रही हैं वो दूर हो। प्रशासन सब जगह उपकरण, दवाइयाँ उपलब्ध करवाए। जो लोग डेली वेज वाले हैं उनके लिए आवश्यक वस्तुओं का प्रबंध करवाए। ऐसी शुभकामनाएं करते हैं ताकि सभी लोग स्वस्थ रहें, दीर्घायु रहें। सबीतियो विवज्जन्तु शोको रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। अब मुदिता ब्रह्म विहार मन को बैलेंस करने के लिए, प्रसन्नता से भरने के लिए, जो हज़ारों लोग इस बीमारी से मुक्त हुए हैं उनकी खुश प्रसन्नता में हम भी शामिल हों। जो और भी लोगों के घरों में अन्य कारणों से प्रसन्नता है जो हमें मालूम हो, उसको याद करके मन प्रसन्न हो। और ये शुभकामना करें कि उनकी प्रसन्नता बनी रहे, सुख संपत्ति बनी रहे। यथा लब्धा संपत्तितो मा विगच्छन्। उपेक्षा ब्रह्म विहार। विषम परिस्थितियों में हमारा चित्त कंपायमान न हो, हर परिस्थिति में समता में रहे। हमारा भी और सभी प्राणियों का, जो दुख में है, सुख में है, सभी उपेक्षा भाव में प्रतिष्ठित हो। विषम परिस्थितियों में कई बार दोषारोपण की आदत आ जाती है। भासमान सत्य यही है कि कुछ लोगों की गलती के कारण ये रोग शुरू हुआ और कुछ लोगों की गलती के कारण ये लोग बढ़ा है, हमारे देश में बढ़ रहा है। तो हमारी टेंडेंसी तुरंत हो जाती है कन्वेंशनल लेवल पे दोष देने की, जिससे कि द्वेष बढ़ता है, गुस्सा बढ़ता है, समता टूट जाती है। भगवान की शिक्षा है कि ऐसी परिस्थितियों में मन को समता में रखने के लिए हमें कर्म सिद्धांत को याद रखना चाहिए कि हम जो दुख भी महसूस कर रहे हैं वो हमारे कर्मों का ही फल है। और जो लोग किसी भी कारणवश जाने अनजाने में लोगों के दुख बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं, वो भी प्रकृतिवश अपने दुखों का फल भोगेंगे। हमें अपने मन को आहत करने की, बेचैन करने की आवश्यकता नहीं। कन्वेंशनल लेवल पे जो भी करना होगा प्रशासन करेगा। हम अपने चित्त की समता बनाए रखें। इसके लिए ये कर्म सिद्धांत जो हम बार बार चैंटिंग में सुनते हैं, इसको फिर दोहराते हैं। कम्मस्य का कम्मदायादा कम्मयोनि कम्मबन्धु कम्मपटिशरणं यं कम्मं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। जैसा आज हमने चैंटिंग में भी सुना मंगल सूत्र में, पुट्टस्य लोक धम्मे ही चित्तस्य यस्य न कंपति अशोकम विरजम खेमम एतं मंगलम उत्तमम। तो ये उत्तम मंगल है और इसका हम जितना अभ्यास करेंगे ये ब्रह्म विहार हमारे को बोधि का अंग बन जाएगा। सातवां बोधि का अंग भी उपेक्षा ही होता है और उपेक्षा पारवी भी बहुत होती है। तो उपेक्षा ब्रह्म विहार का बहुत महत्व है और ये हमारी प्रज्ञा से संबंधित है डायरेक्टली, क्योंकि जितनी प्रज्ञा होगी उतना हम वस्तुओं को यथाभूत देख पाएंगे, कर्म सिद्धांत को समझ पाएंगे और समता में स्थापित रहेंगे। अपनी प्रज्ञा को स्थापित करना, अपनी दृष्टि को सम्यक करना, सम्मा दिट्ठी रखना बहुत आवश्यक है। तो इसलिए हम अंतिम चैंट यही करेंगे, लोग सुखी रहें, उनकी दृष्टि सम्यक हो, ठीक हो, ताकि कोई भी पाप कर्म न करें, अपना शोक न बढ़ाएं, दुख न बढ़ाएं। सर्वे सत्ता सुखी तु सर्वे होन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा किञ्चित् पापमागमात् मा किञ्चित् दुःखमागमात् मा किञ्चित् दुःखमागमात्। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु मे। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु मे। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि।
स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं